Sheldon Cooper had a hero when he was a kid, a physics professor at East Texas Tech. Strange, brilliant, kind, and living by a strict schedule. And the more you rewatch young Sheldon, the harder it is to shake one thought. Dr. Sturgis is not just Sheldon's mentor. He is Sheldon, older, left alone. The Sheldon who never had Amy Farrah Fowler enter his life. Let me be honest right away. This is a fan theory, not something the writers have confirmed. None of the creators ever came out and said, Sturgis is future Sheldon without Amy. But when you start putting their scenes side by side, the picture lines up so well that it gets unsettling. Just look at them. Both are theoretical physicists. Both are geniuses and both know it very well. Both take everything literally. Both speak in an even voice even when a normal person would already be yelling. Both live by rituals and schedules, and any change feels like a small disaster. For Sheldon, it is his spot on the couch, knocking on a door exactly 3 times, and a schedule for every day of the week. Sturgis has his own set of habits, and he built an entire life out of them. Both struggle to read other people's emotions, and both hung their entire sense of self-worth on one single nail, their own intelligence. As long as that nail holds, everything is fine. But if it starts to come loose, there is nothing else holding them up. There is really only one major difference between them. Sheldon met a woman who stayed with him all the way to the end. Sturgis met a woman who was also ready to stay, but after his crisis, he pushed her away himself. That one difference created 2 completely different lives. One ends with a Nobel Prize and a room full of people who love him. The other ends with a nervous breakdown, a psychiatric hospital, and an empty apartment full of books. This is not a proven fact. It is an observation. But the longer you keep it in your head, the harder it becomes to see sweet old Dr. Sturgis the same way. By the way, you're watching Cooper's Couch, and today we're breaking down a theory that makes the coziest character in young Sheldon start to feel like a warning. Let's start at the exact point where these 2 lives split apart. Sturgis shows up in the very first season, and he seems like a man who is pretty happy with everything. He has science. He has his bicycle. He has his daily routine. He barely has any friends around him, and he has no family, but he does not look unhappy. He looks like someone who decided a long time ago that being alone was normal, then stopped asking himself questions about it. And by the way, let's be real about one thing. Sturgis is a literal genius, a university professor, and the man rides a bicycle everywhere and lives in a tiny apartment stacked with books. Because a physics professor's salary at East Texas Tech in the 80s? Not exactly Nobel Prize money. Being brilliant has never paid the bills on its own, which is actually a perfect segue to the sponsor of today's video, Free Cash. Quick version, it's a platform where you can make a little extra cash doing simple stuff. And here's the important part. It doesn't ask for any money up front. You don't have to put in anything. You just hop on, do tasks, take surveys, test apps, play games, and you get coins for it, which you then swap for real money, crypto, or gift cards. I actually poked around on it myself while making this video. There are a ton of offers. You just scroll and pick whatever you're into. Some want you to fill out a survey. Some just want you to play a mobile game and hit a certain level. The layout's simple. You can figure it out in a couple minutes. No catch like put your own money in first. You can cash out starting at $25. And by the way, the service has a 4.8 on Trustpilot and thousands of reviews. So if you want to mess around with it yourself, click the link in the pinned comment or in the description of this video, or scan the QR code on screen. That one also gets you a $10 bonus to start once you sign up and finish your first game. Thanks to Free Cash for sponsoring this episode. And now back to our lonely professor because his quiet little routine is about to get completely blown up by a woman on a mission. Then Meemaw enters his life. And here is what matters. Sturgis was not looking for a relationship. Sheldon basically brought them together, though Sturgis was the one who asked Connie out on their first date. But after that, she is usually the one pushing the relationship forward, while he reacts with confusion and takes everything literally, because romantic signals are like a foreign language to him. Sound familiar? The Big Bang Theory did the exact same thing. In the early seasons, Sheldon openly said he did not need romance and that his own mind was enough company. Then Howard and Raj secretly made him a dating profile, and the algorithm matched him with Amy. Sheldon was not looking either. He was found too. After that, both couples follow a shockingly similar path: awkwardness, literal thinking, panic over any kind of physical closeness, and a woman patiently translating her genius from the language of formulas into the language of people. Connie did that for Sturgis. Amy did it for Sheldon for years. Basically, both women took on the same job: explaining their strange man to the world and explaining the world to their strange man. And beside Connie, Sturgis starts to bloom. It's probably the happiest stretch of his entire life in the show. Sheldon also grows beside Amy, slowly and with a lot of resistance. The relationship agreement, their first real kiss on the train, which he started himself, and their first time sleeping together on her birthday. Every step felt like a major scientific achievement for him, but he still took those steps. And notice this: with every season, more and more of the effort started coming from Sheldon himself. The man who once gave speeches about how useless romance was eventually got down on one knee. Now, let's look at what happens when a crisis hits, because both of them face one. At the end of Young Sheldon Season 2, Sturgis has a nervous breakdown, anxiety, the feeling that he has failed as a scientist, and then the man falls apart. He is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, and his relationship with Connie does not survive the blow, but not because she could not handle it. After leaving the hospital, Sturgis ends the relationship himself because he is scared of having another episode and does not want to hurt her again. Connie was willing to wait, but he chose to push her away first. Later, Connie starts dating Dale, while Sturgis goes back to being who he was before her, alone. Except now he knows exactly what he lost. Sheldon had plenty of crises too. He gave up string theory after spending half his life on it. He bounced around trying to find a new field. He panicked when it looked like his biggest work on super asymmetry was falling apart. At one point, life hit him from every direction at once and he just ran away. He got on a train and left like a kid running away from home. And it was the people close to him who brought him back. Not logic, not science, not a schedule, people. Then, in Season 9, he and Amy actually broke up. And that was the first time in the entire show that Sheldon showed real heartbreak. Not annoyance because his schedule had changed. He missed a person, and that feeling would not go away no matter how busy he kept himself. But here's the difference, and this part is 100% canon. Amy came back. Every crisis ended with the two of them finding their way back to each other. The engagement, the wedding. And in the finale, the Nobel Prize, they win together because Amy was not only his wife, she was also the co-author of the biggest work of his life. Connie gave Sturgis warmth. Amy gave Sheldon warmth, science, and stability. One genius had support beside him, but chose to give it up. The other genius had someone who kept standing there, and he allowed her to stay. And now we get to the creepiest part of this theory, because the next detail is one I have not been able to unsee. The Big Bang Theory finale aired on May 16th, 2019. The episode where Sheldon stands in Stockholm, receives the Nobel Prize, ditches his prepared speech, and thanks his friends and Amy. The highest point of his life. Proof that the strange little boy from Texas made it all the way to the top and did not arrive there alone. Now, guess what aired on that exact same night? The Young Sheldon Season 2 finale. The episode where Dr. Sturgis has his nervous breakdown. The breakdown that leads to the hospital, medication, and the end of his relationship with Connie. One night, two physicists. One receives the greatest prize in the world while surrounded by people he loves. The other falls apart alone. And here is the cherry on top. The episode where Sturgis breaks down is called A Swedish Science Thing and the Equation for Toast. A Swedish Science Thing. In case anyone forgot, the Nobel Prize is awarded in Sweden. So the title of the episode about Sturgis falling apart literally contains a reference to the prize Sheldon receives that same night on the other show airing alongside it. Maybe the TV schedule just happened to line up this way, and I am reading meaning into something that means nothing. The people making the schedule probably were not sitting around thinking about fan theories. But one thing keeps me from calling it all a coincidence. Young Sheldon is a prequel made after The Big Bang Theory had already begun. When Sturgis first appeared, the writers still did not have the finished Stockholm finale. But by the time of the season 2 finale, Sheldon's path to the Nobel Prize was already known, and the writers could easily have pushed this parallel on purpose while working on both finales. How much of it was planned? That is still an open question. But after that, the matching air dates stopped looking so innocent. Alright, let's keep going because the show gives us plenty to work with even without playing tricks with the calendar. In Young Sheldon, Sheldon himself sees a version of himself in Sturgis. That is not something fans made up. It is right there in the show. A boy finds an adult who thinks like him, talks like him, and lives like him. To young Sheldon, Sturgis is living proof that he can grow up and still remain himself. And that is exactly why his mentor's breakdown hits him in such a strange way. Fans often talk about the storyline where Sheldon faces Sturgis's crisis and gets scared not for Sturgis but for himself. Like, if this man who is so much like me can break, what is going to happen to me? Honestly, I would not bet that the show says this fear as directly as fans sometimes claim in discussions. But the situation itself is there. His hero is in a hospital, and a 10-year-old genius looks at him and sees far too much of himself. There is another detail that is easy to miss. The show confirms that Sturgis had similar episodes before. So the breakdown is not only about loneliness and stress, it also seems to come from something that had been inside him from the start. A weakness waiting for its moment. And this is where the Sheldon comparison gets really uncomfortable, because Sheldon is emotionally fragile too. The show never gives him a diagnosis. The creators have clearly avoided clinical labels, and that is their official position. But we watched his anxiety, his rituals, and his panic over change for 12 straight seasons. Sheldon is made from the same emotional material that led to Sturgis's breakdown. The difference is that Sheldon had people around him who caught him every time he started to fall. And what happens to Sturgis after the hospital? He comes back different, quieter, but he does return to teaching and he keeps mentoring Sheldon. He does not end up working at the grocery store until much later, after his job at the Super Collider and after he gets fired because of a bad interview. He is not completely broken, but he is alone. And the show no longer pretends he is fine with that. But the strangest part of this story is not even the breakdown. The strangest part is what happens to Sturgis after that. Or, more exactly, what does not happen. Wallace Shawn played Sturgis in dozens of Young Sheldon episodes. Fan sites put the number at more than 50, though I would not carve that number into stone. He appeared across all 7 seasons. He is one of the most important adults in young Sheldon's life. And yet, Sturgis is nowhere in The Big Bang Theory, the show about adult Sheldon. Nowhere. Not one scene, not one appearance. He is not in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage either. In Sheldon's future, his mentor is simply gone. Think about how strange that is. In the same universe, adult Sheldon constantly talks about Texas, his mother, Meemaw, and his childhood. The past comes up all the time in The Big Bang Theory. But the man who was young Sheldon's first real colleague, the first adult who felt like me, never comes up once. Obviously, the real reason is boring. Sturgis was created about 10 years after The Big Bang Theory started, so they could not go back and add him. I know that. But inside the story, if you treat both shows as one long biography, the whole is still there. Fans were really upset that adult Sheldon did not say Sturgis's name during his Nobel speech. The showrunner later explained that Sheldon thanks all the men in his life, and Sturgis is obviously included in that. Technically, yes, he is included. But it still leaves a weird feeling. The first man who showed little Sheldon that a genius could live long enough to grow gray hair simply vanished from his future without a trace. And honestly, that disappearance fits this theory almost too well. Sturgis only exists in Sheldon's past, in the time when Sheldon could still have ended up on the same path. But in the future, where Sheldon has Amy, his friends, and a Nobel Prize, there is simply no room left for this second version of the same life. That is more of a feeling the show creates than a hard conclusion. But it is a strong feeling. Now let's be honest, Because this theory has holes, and pretending it does not would be a lie. The first hole is a big one. Sheldon was never alone the way Sturgis was. Even before Amy, he had Leonard, Penny, Howard, and Raj. He had a mother who prayed for him. He had Meemaw. He had the entire Cooper family, who spent years shaping their lives around his strange behavior. Sheldon could say all day that he did not need anyone, but there was always a whole network of people around him. Sturgis did not have that network. Connie was basically the only thread connecting him to the world. And the most tragic part is that the thread did not snap on its own. Sturgis cut it with his own hands. The second hole, when you really look at him, Sturgis is warmer than early Sheldon. He is not arrogant. He can grow attached to someone right away without years of training through a relationship agreement. Young adult Sheldon in the early seasons of The Big Bang Theory was far more unbearable than this gentle old professor. So saying Sturgis is Sheldon is too simple. Their personalities are close, but they are not the same. And the third hole is the most obvious one. Sheldon without Amy is a version of the story that does not exist in the show. We cannot rewind it and check. Any talk about who he would have become is still guesswork, even if there is a lot to back it up. So if we want to say it as honestly as possible, the theory is not really Sturgis is Sheldon without Amy. It is a little longer than that. Sturgis is what happens to a genius when, at the hardest moment of his life, he pushes away the person holding him up. Amy alone did not save Sheldon from that fate. His whole network did, his friends, his family, and Amy as the strongest thread in it. But Amy was the one thread nobody else could replace. She came back after their breakup, shared his science, and stood beside him in Stockholm. Connie was ready to stay too, but Sturgis would not let her. If we simplify it as much as possible, the whole difference between the hospital and the Nobel does not come down to the words left and stayed. It comes down to accepted help and pushed her away. And once you have that thought in your head, young Sheldon feels completely different on a rewatch. Every sweet scene where Sturgis rides his bicycle to see Connie, every awkward joke, every moment when he gets excited about young Sheldon, all of it now has two layers. We are not just looking at a funny old scientist. We are looking at a version of the main character who did not make it. A man with the same mind, the same strange habits, and the same emotional weakness, except when the key moment came, he would not let someone close to him hold him up. The show does not become worse because of this. It becomes heavier. Because it means Sheldon Cooper's entire story, from that house in Texas to the stage in Stockholm, was not held together by his genius. Sturgis had genius too. It was held together by the fact that every time someone stayed beside him. And if you cannot watch the Sturgis scenes the same way after this either, well, that means Cooper's couch is not done ruining your favorite sitcoms yet.